Quick start to the science of getting rich. Chapter 12, your 30-day test. In his preface to the science of getting rich, Wallace wrote, "It is expected that the reader will take the fundamental statements upon faith, just as he would take statements concerning a law of electrical action if they were promulgated by a Marconi or an Edison. If they were, and taking the statements upon faith, that he will prove their truth by acting upon them without fear or hesitation. Every man or woman who does this will certainly get rich, for the science herein applies is an exact science, and failure is impossible. And that's exactly what you're about to do. Taking the fundamental statements on faith, you're about to prove to yourself the absolutely incredible results that are possible in your life by putting what you've learned in the quick start guide to a practical test. A test that will last for 30 days, 30 consecutive days. The key word here is consecutive. Now, let me warn you ahead of time. Although this test is certainly simple enough, it's not going to be easy. Not by a long shot. Trust me on this one. As a matter of fact, it may well be the hardest thing you've ever done. However, if you take it seriously, if you do it exactly the way I tell you to do it, if you put everything you've got into it, I promise you it will change your life forever. First, before you begin this test, it is absolutely vital that following the instructions in Chapter 7, you've 1. Create a simple vision statement that clearly describes what you want next in your life. 2. Write your vision statement on each of two white-lined 3-inch by 5-inch index cards, one of which you'll put in or on the table or nightstand next to your bed, the other one which you'll carry with you at all times. And 3. Create a simple imaginary mental experience of yourself already having that which you want. If you haven't done these 3 things, go back to Chapter 7 and complete the action steps for it before continuing. If you've done these 3 things, you're ready to begin your 30-day test. Tip: don't begin your 30-day test until you're ready to make an unbreakable commitment to yourself to follow it through to completion. Are you ready? Here's your test. For 30 consecutive days, again, the key word here is consecutive, every night right before you go to sleep, every morning right after you wake up, and several times throughout the day. 1. Read your vision statement to yourself. It's not necessary to read it out loud. Just read the words to yourself. 2. Experience in your imagination already having that which you want, as if you have it right now. 3. Feel the positive emotions that go along with your experience. Remember, this doesn't have to be a long drawn-out deal. 10 to 15 seconds, maybe up to a minute max, each time. Now, here's the key and, quite frankly, the tough part. Whenever you catch yourself thinking about what you don't want or feel doubt, uncertainty, fear, or worry creeping into your thoughts, mentally repeat your vision statement to yourself, experience already having it in your imagination, and feel all the positive emotions associated with it. In Chapter 7 of The Science of Getting Rich, Gratitude, Wallace Wattles wrote, "The creative power within us makes us into the image of that which we give our attention. Question for you. What have you been giving your attention to? Not sure? Here's a hint. Take a look around you. Don't like what you see? Want to change it? Then you need to change what you're giving your attention to. It's as simple as that. For 30 consecutive days, you must, and this is absolutely vital, take complete 100% total control over your mind and focus your attention on what you want. And I read a book maybe a year or two now called Extreme Ownership by a Navy SEAL. I can't remember the author's name now, but it was talking about taking 100% ownership, even if it was, things that were out of your control, not your fault, still taking 100% responsibility of like how you act and or react. Each day during your 30-day test, put everything you've got into everything you do, doing with faith and purpose all that you can do each day, doing each separate thing you do in an efficient manner. Don't concern yourself in the least with how you're going to get what you want. Leave that completely to the power within you. All you have to do is know exactly what you want, keep in your thoughts constantly, and do with faith and purpose all that you can do each day, doing each separate thing you do in an efficient manner. All the answers you need will come to you on your own accord when the time is right and you're ready to receive them. Know that they will. Now, should at any time during your 30-day test you find yourself overwhelmed by thoughts of what you don't want or feeling of doubt, uncertainty, fear, or worry, guess what? That's right. You get to start all over again at day 1 and go 30 more consecutive days. Should this happen, and odds are it will, don't beat yourself up or get discouraged. Simply begin your 30-day test again. Should it happen again, guess what? That's right. Don't beat yourself up or get discouraged. Simply begin your 30-day test again. Get it? I think you do. Slowly but surely, you'll find yourself more and more in control of your thoughts and actions, and thus your life. One last thing. What do you think you should do after you successfully complete your test for 30 consecutive days? Guess. That's right. Repeat it. Then repeat it again. Then repeat it again. Do this. Make your 30-day test a way of life. And I promise you a whole new universe of power will open itself. Before I go, I want to take a few moments to answer 3 frequently asked questions about this 30-day test. 1. How do you know when you passed the 30-day test? Is it when your vision has been realized? The primary purpose of the 30-day test is to take control of your thoughts and keep them under control for 30 consecutive days. Therefore, you pass the test not when you realize your next level vision, which may or may not happen during the 30-day test, but when you're able to keep your thoughts directed towards what you want, your next level vision, without becoming totally overwhelmed by thoughts of what you don't want or feeling of doubt, uncertainty, fear, or worry for 30 consecutive days. Note, controlling your thoughts and keeping them directed towards what you want is absolutely vital to you getting what you want. Therefore, though you may not do it formally, this is a habit you want to continue even after you pass the 30-day test, which is what I mean by repeat it and repeat it again. In other words, you want to make the 30-day test a permanent way of life. 2. In reference to each day during your 30-day test, put everything you've got into everything you do, doing with faith and purpose all that you can do, doing each separate thing you do in an efficient manner. Do I need to do every single thing I do perfectly in order to pass the 30-day test? Action-wise, during the 30-day test, you should do everything you can to do as well as you can do it. Does that mean every single itty-bitty little thing needs to be done absolutely perfectly to pass the 30-day test? No. Refining what you do is going to be a continual, ongoing process. As long as you're doing your best and making progress in that area, you're good. 3. Should I restart the 30-day test? Do you feel overwhelmed by thought of what you don't want or feeling of doubt, uncertainty, fear, or worry? If you do, restart. If not, continue. No, if you feel in control of the situation, you're winning the battle, so to speak. You consistently counter these thoughts and feelings, regardless of how often they occur, with your vision. Odds are you're not overwhelmed and should continue. If, on the other hand, you feel you've lost control, you're losing the battle, so to speak, you've pretty much thrown your vision out the window, at least for the time being, and these thoughts and feelings are running amok, odds are you're overwhelmed and should restart. With that, here are your action steps. 1. Make your 30-day test. Tip: use a calendar or checklist of some sort to keep track of your progress. Extra credit: read Making the Man Who Can by Wallace D. Wattles. If you don't already have a copy of this book, you can get it. And then in my quick start guide, it gives Amazon links, but I'm not trying to promote this person's affiliate links for them. And then I guess I've seen Making the Man Who Can, usually with the title it was republished under 5 years later after its original publication. How to Promote Yourself. Same book, different title. Referred to as the missing chapters of The Science of Getting Rich. Well, there's nothing really missing about them. In fact, they were first published a year before The Science of Getting Rich was. However, they, along with How to Get What You Want by Wallace D. Wallace, see Chapter 9, fill the missing pieces of The Science of Getting Rich rather nicely. So I might come back to that book, Man Who Can, also republished with the name How to Promote Yourself by Wallace D. Wallace. I might come back to that when I get my own copy. And there was another book mentioned in a previous chapter I'll have to go look for. Hopefully you found some value in this. Keep checking out my quick start guide to the Science of Getting Rich, along with my other Science of Getting Rich videos, and just keep studying and immersing yourself in this. Thank you, and have a good day.